How to activate the psychic money machine. To prosper means to succeed, to thrive, to turn out well. In other words, when you are prospering, you are expanding, growing spiritually, mentally, financially, socially, and intellectually. In order to truly prosper, it is necessary that you become a channel through which the life principle flows freely, harmoniously, joyously, and lovingly. I suggest that you establish a definite method of working and thinking, and that you practice it regularly and systematically every day. How prosperity thoughts changed his life. One young man who consulted with me had experienced a poverty complex for many years and had received no answers to his prayers. He had prayed for prosperity, but the fear of poverty continuously weighed on his mind, and naturally he attracted more lack and limitation than prosperity. The subconscious mind accepts the dominant of two ideas. After talking with me, he began to realize that his thought image of wealth produces wealth, and that every thought is creative unless it is neutralized by a counter-thought of greater intensity. Furthermore, he realized that his thought and belief about poverty was greater than his belief in the infinite riches all around him. Consequently, he changed his thoughts and kept them changed. I wrote out a prosperity prayer for him as follows. I know it will benefit you also. I know there is only one source, the life principle, from which all things flow. It created the universe and all things therein contained. I am a focal point of the divine presence. My mind is open and receptive. I am a free-flowing channel for harmony, beauty, guidance, wealth, and the riches of the infinite. I know that health, wealth, and success are released from within and appear on the without. I am now in harmony with the infinite riches within and without, and I know these thoughts are sinking into my subconscious mind and will be reflected on the screen of space. I wish for everyone all the blessings of life. I am open and receptive to God's riches, spiritual, mental, and material, and they flow to me in avalanches of abundance. This young man focused his thoughts on God's riches rather than on poverty, and made it a special point not to deny what he affirmed. In a month's time, his whole life was transformed. He affirmed these truths morning and evening for about 10 minutes, knowing that he was actually writing down these truths in his subconscious mind, causing the latter to be activated and to release its hidden treasures. Although he had been a salesman for 10 years with rather dim prospects for the future, suddenly he was made sales manager at $30,000 a year plus prime benefits. How to consider the riches of the infinite. You can look at the stars at night. The cumulus clouds are there for you to admire, and the sky is as blue for you as it is for everyone. You can look at the sunset whether you are rich or poor. You can listen to the songs of the birds and become enraptured with the beauty all around you. Begin to see the divine presence in all things about you, in the rising sun, the golden moon, the sky, the mountains, the rivers, the rivulets, and the streams. Contemplate the beauty of all nature. Life is a mirror which reflects back to us precisely that which we deposit in our minds. Look through the eyes of love and beauty, and love, beauty, and the riches of the infinite will come back to you. Longfellow said, "Look not mournfully into the past, it comes not back again. Wisely improve the present, it is the thing. Go forth to meet the shadowy future without fear and a manly heart." Seneca said, "We can only say he is anxious about the future to whom the present is unprofitable." God, your good, is the eternal now. Claim your good and all the riches of life now. What you can conceive, you can achieve through the wisdom and power of your subconscious mind. The wonders of prosperous and healthy writing out of your desires. Every New Year's Eve I am requested to preside at an assembly and to conduct a New Year's prayer for a group of men and their wives. The custom is that each person writes out clearly his or her desires of the heart. There are only 4 categories, such as health, wealth, love, and expression. No matter what you seek comes under one of these classifications. If, for example, you request wisdom as your sole desire, that comes under expression, or your desire to release more and more of the life, love, truth, beauty, and riches of the deeper mind. Also, in writing down their desires, it was suggested that a friend or relative be included in one of them. For example, if the friend or relative was involved in a lawsuit, they were instructed to write down, "There is a divine and harmonious solution through the infinite justice and harmony of God for him." It is amazing how many of these desires are answered before the end of the year. In many instances, some of their prayers are answered early the following year, but then it happens that the answers actually come at the right time, that is, when they are ready. All these written requests are placed in sealed envelopes and given to one of the men present, who places them in his safe at home, and on the following New Year's Eve, each one is presented with his or her envelope, and the owner reads it privately. One man showed me his written request and said every one had been fulfilled in divine order. One of his desires was that he would have more time for his sons, and for more recreation and travel with his family. He was transferred and promoted and received 6 weeks vacation, enabling him to take his family on a 5-week cruise. Also, he had much more time for his family during the week. Another request by a mother was that her 2 sons would never be called to service. They were deeply spiritual boys and abhorred war. They have never been called, and as she said, they never will be. She decreed and wrote, "My boys are God's sons. God places them in their true place where they are doing what they love to do. God knows and God cares." All these men and women write down the deepest desires of their hearts, trusting and believing that the infinite intelligence in their subconscious mind will bring their desires to pass in divine order. I always conclude my prayer with the group in this way. We decree that all these written desires are inscribed in the subconscious of each, and that all these desires come forth in divine law and order. These prayers are answered either as written or in a grander and greater way in the sight of the higher self, which knows all and sees all. All these men and women are amazed to see the wonderful way in which these prayers are answered. The secret purpose of writing these desires and sealing them is that we release them completely to the wisdom of the subconscious with faith and confidence, knowing that as the sun rises in the morning, so will there be a resurrection of all these desires in divine order. This is called divine indifference. When you have this attitude of mind, your prayers are always answered. Divine indifference means that you know it is impossible for your prayer to fail, for it is written, "He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee." Points to remember. 1. You are prospering when you are expanding along all lines spiritually, mentally, intellectually, and financially. You should have all the money you need to do what you want to do, and when you want to do it. 2. Your subconscious mind accepts the dominant of 2 ideas. Reason out clearly all the reasons why all things visible and invisible come from one source. All things made by man came out of the one mind, and all things made by God came out of the same mind. Think prosperity thoughts. Think of riches of all kinds and the immense wealth of the world, and your subconscious will respond to your habitual thinking. Supplant all thoughts of poverty with the thought of God's opulence and endless resources. Be open and receptive, and let wealth flow freely to you. Be a good receiver. 3. Your conscious mind is the pen with which you inscribe your true desires in your subconscious. Think quietly and with interest of each desire separately, watering it and nurturing it with faith and expectancy. Do this 3 or 4 times a day. By frequent habitation of the mind, you will impregnate your subconscious, and the cherished desires of your heart will be realized. 4. Never engage in thinking of lack, limitation, loneliness, and frustration. On the contrary, have a mental plan of the things you want, and then realize that whatever you attach to I am, you will create in your life. Get a little phrase easily graven on the memory, such as I am happy, joyous, free, etc. Repeat it over and over again as a lullaby. Do it knowingly and feelingly. As you sow in your subconscious, so also will you reap. 5. Instead of grumbling, whining, and complaining about present conditions, reverse that attitude of mind and claim boldly, divine right action is mine. Divine success is mine. Divine love fills my soul, and whatever I do will prosper. Know that your thoughts are creative and that you are what you think all day long. Have a healthy respect for your thoughts. Your thought is your prayer. 6. Begin to contemplate that God's beauty and riches flow freely through your thoughts, words, and deeds, and you will experience the results of your thinking. Furthermore, you will be able to pass on to your family the riches acquired by contemplation. You must have in order to give. It is only the rich people who can contribute richly to all. The poor cannot give. 7. Life is a mirror for the king and the beggar, reflecting back to each of us precisely that which we deposit in our mind. When you are in a quandary and are dealing with difficult people, it is a good thing to write out clearly your desire as follows. This too will pass away, and there is a divine and harmonious solution through the wisdom of my subconscious. I loose it and let it go now. You can put this written prayer in a drawer marked, "With God all things are possible." This is a symbolic way of releasing it, and it works wonders.